All right, you should be good.
All right.
Disconnected. Ready to connect.
Uh-oh, what happened? Am I still there?
You're still there. I think it's Phil.
Okay, my screen's gone blank. There you are, Phil. Yep. We good to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, call the meeting to order February 8th, 2022 at 4:35. Okay. Approval of the agenda for February 8th, 2022. Looking for approval. By sound.
Can we make an amendment, or do we do that after?
I think that's when we would do it.
You would do it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to add possible events. Mayor, we talked about the task force for the tornado thing for next year. It's not an event for 2022, but we need to discuss it a little bit, right? Okay.
Just if Councillor Rowley, if you were to, I don't think you have a mover or seconder yet. So if you were just to put a motion on the floor to approve the agenda with an addition of the tornado commemoration under new business, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, so that's what I would like to do then. Jessica, did you get that under new business, which I don't see here, but that's okay. A discussion around the task force for the commemoration or remembrance of the 1973 tornado. Can we add that? Lloyd, is that okay with you?
Yes. I'll just write it down. Yeah.
Thank you.
Add that in. Okay, Jessica, what you got there for that now?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not that fast of a typer.
Okay.
To amend the agenda to add a new business heading for discussion regarding a task force for the commemoration. And sorry, Emily, what did you call the tornado?
Just the 1973 tornado task force.
1973 tornado.
Yeah.
That happened in Brighton.
Yeah.
For an event in 2023.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So
Okay,
Lloyd, you'll want a mover and a seconder for the amendment and then approval of the agenda as amended.
Yes.
So I think I see Amy with her hand up as a mover. Or sorry, Emily's the mover. Are you seconding Amy?
Yeah, I'll second that for Emily or
Thanks.
Counselor. Sorry.
Okay. All in favor?
See all the hands?
Carried.
Okay.
Okay. Now we need approval of the agenda with the
With the amendment.
Yeah.
You see Emily, or sorry, Amy. And Phil. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Okay, number 3, election. I'll turn that over to you, Jessica.
Yeah, so if anybody wanted to nominate anyone for the chair position, or if anybody wanted to have a discussion about it. Looks like Emily has her hand up.
Yeah, I would I'd like to suggest that we leave. Can we do both the chair and chairperson at the same time, that we leave as is? Or do we need to do one at a time?
You can, there's separate things, but if you do a motion, if there's a, you know, a
Seconder.
mover and a seconder, we can do it for both if that's what you prefer.
I would like to move then that Lloyd stay chair, and I believe Phil is the vice chair.
Any other discussion? And is there a seconder for that? Thank you. See Amy as seconder. And do you both move and second for Phil continuing as vice chair? Okay, I will add that. You're good to move on there, Lloyd.
Okay. Okay, number 4, declaration of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Do we have any? Seeing none. Number 5,
Sorry, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair. Did we actually vote on, we moved it and we seconded for both the elections, but I don't know if we actually called the vote and voted on it, or did I just miss it?
No, I'm not sure. All in favor of the chair, vice chair elections with Lloyd as chair continuing and Phil as vice chair continuing? Show of hands. Okay, I see all hands.
so we better record there was a vote on it then.
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
we good to go?
Yeah, I think you're at 5.
Okay, approval of the minutes from November 2nd, 2021. Everyone read the minutes? I need someone to approve it and second it.
See Phil and Amy.
All in favor? Carried. Number 6, delegations. We have none.
No,
We go to number 7 to, we'll look at 7.1, terms and reference. Every year, we make sure everyone has a copy of the terms and reference of the Community Event Civic Award Advisory Committee, so that if people do ask you questions or you have concerns, it should be in the terms and reference. Any questions on that? Okay. We'll go down to 7.2, possible events for 2022. Providing everything will open up for the summer months. I can't see why we can't start planning for Canada Day celebration. And concerts in the park, I can't see why we can't work on it. Of course, Santa Claus parades in the fall, we'll deal with that later on. Community event, civic awards. I do have concerns on it doing it this year. I would like to put that off for the new committee that will start next year. There isn't a lot that has been going on in Brighton the last little while. And I just hate to see us try and start doing stuff and then maybe get shut down on it. So what does the committee members think of that?
sorry, Amy, we should mention that Lloyd can't really see everyone. So unfortunately, when you put your hand up, he can't see you very well. So
Okay.
Lloyd, I see
Sorry.
he's got her hand up there.
Yeah, I just was was just looking for clarification on sort of what you meant. Like you're putting the awards. This is just my first time around with the awards and stuff. So I just would like to know sort of what you mean by putting them off.
So what our committee does, it does a civic awards every other year. And so it's not done every year. So we were supposed to have, I think have done it last year, but it never got done. And I would suggest that we put it off till next year. we have to put in the paper, we have to have a subcommittee, and we have to look for different criteria. I think Jim Miller could expand on that, what we do there. If you
Okay.
could.
No,
Yeah.
no, I understand what you're saying now. So is there a motion on the table to defer it again?
Yeah. We will here in a minute, but I just wanted to know what everyone felt about it first.
Okay. So if I could just speak to that just for a second, I think actually it would be a great opportunity, even if it's done virtually, to do awards this year. I think that there are some people in the community that have gone above and beyond during COVID, that have stepped up, have been able to connect in the community, and do things during a very difficult time in the last 2 years. And I think it's time that we start celebrating things again. I think if you put it off for another year, you're looking at a 3-year gap, and that could make people not interested in really applying for it or being a part of it. I would like to sit on that committee if it does go through. I just think that everything's been put off for so long, and I think it's time now that we start celebrating some of the people in the community, especially during COVID times, that we're able to step up and we're able to help people and, you know, give a little bit of hope that we're moving forward and that we're moving past this, and that yet another thing isn't canceled, because who knows how long COVID's going to last. And, you know, I think we have to start trying to live within it and work around it. So that would just be my only comments on it.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We can leave that on then.
Lloyd, sorry, Emily's got her hand up there.
Oh, sorry, I can't see anybody's hand up.
That's okay, Lloyd. That's okay. Listening to Amy, I kind of agree in a way, but not so sure that we need to maybe celebrate civic awards as we normally do, Lloyd. Maybe we just do some. In fact, I know the mayor and I have talked about this earlier. It's like, if we could get rid of COVID, I would like to celebrate the staff at Sobeys. If for no other reason, that we just stop there and maybe stick a plaque on their window saying, you know, good job for what you've done this year, the last few years. I mean, they have, when you talk about stepping up, they have certainly done that, I think. And I'm not saying that No Frills hasn't, but you know, for me, it's been more noticeable at Sobeys. Just things like that. Maybe we do maybe we just do a run of some certificates, like the COVID-19 good guy certificate or something. I don't know. We could do something a whole lot. I know your concern is as well as to how to pull off something that we normally do. And it's been a challenge for those of us on that subcommittee to even get nominations. It's been like pulling teeth. Phil, you know that as well. The last 2 years, we practically were just pulling people from everywhere to just get nominations on the table. So it's never been an easy process for us to do that, but maybe we just kind of modify something different. Maybe we could work with Ben and maybe Caroline. I know they've come up with some good ideas of late, and maybe it is just a handing of certificates and just celebrating something on, you know, on the municipal website or on our social media. That's all I have to say. I agree. We need to kind of share a little bit more community spirit, some more positive stuff. My comments only.
Lloyd,
Yes.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So I think that what Emily has just described is not a bad idea. However, I think that certificates like that are probably more appropriate coming from the mayor's office or mayor and council, in terms of identifying, you know, organizations in the community who have done well. In terms of whether we do a full-on awards ceremony, my suggestion would be it's nice to recognize some folks in the community. We've done it in the past. I get that. But for me, I think our focus should be, how can we provide something to the most amount of people in the community as a whole that will bring them out of this pandemic with feeling some sort of change is coming. So whether we have more concerts in the park starting earlier in the year, whether we have movies in the park, a couple of more than we had the last time. I mean, I've said it many times around the council table when I was on council. I'll say it again. Brighton is really, whether you agree with me or not, a one festival town. We do Apple Fest really well. And Canada Day is another big item for us. And if we were all sitting around at a table and we looked at each other, you'd notice that there are only 4 members of the committee. And our numbers are down from 8 or however many we had when we started. So our resources are limited in terms of the ability to provide support, including the pressures that are placed on the municipal staff. Perhaps we can look at Citizen of the Year and do something on Canada Day, but morph something into a Canada Day celebration. But in terms of what Emily is suggesting, and there's no shame, by the way, in council standing up and saying, we as a council recognize on behalf of its citizens, these businesses, boom, 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 boom. And so I think a hybrid of what Emily's saying and recognition from council and the mayor and us focusing on the things that we can do best, that being concerts in the park, Canada Day, and then bleeding into the Santa Claus parade because of our reduced numbers. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Can I ask Tom a question then? Or
Yep.
ask a question? So Tom, I think that's a good idea that maybe it is council and the mayor that recognizes some of these good things that have happened.
And it is an election year. Good advertising.
Yeah, no. It's not about, maybe for some, not for me. It's about still just doing good work.
I know that.
Should we maybe still then just put a small subcommittee together to just sit around the table and maybe come up with some ideas as to who in the community has stood out? You know what I mean? And then maybe we could bring those recommendations to council and have that.
Yeah, and yes, but also look at, so if you're talking about who has stood out and bring recommendations to council, but perhaps maybe we should recognize the Citizen of the Year this year at Canada Day and say, that's the one issue that we can tackle. It's probably the one that we'll get the greatest feedback on.
Yeah.
And we always present the Citizen of the Year award. Do we always do it at Canada Day or do we do it at the ceremony? I can't remember.
We've done both.
But we know that, if you look at all the numbers, it happened because of my job. I was looking at sort of the trends with COVID, and July is the low season. So chances are we're going to be able to get out and congregate somewhat better in July. So I think a Canada Day ceremony to take in some of the elements of that, and like you say, we can send some names off to council, but ultimately, you guys can thank them in whatever way you want, whether you guys get out and go to the businesses or go out and find people and do it that way. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Anyone else?
Lloyd, Mr. Mayor has his hand raised there.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got to agree with everyone around the table here. Good idea, Ms. McQuaid, that we go out and we actually do something with regard to civic awards and good ideas around the table. But I would say, I don't think we need a list to come to council. Council doesn't approve your civic awards list when you hold the civic awards. So I would suggest that this group grab a couple of people and provide a list to me, and I will gather as many members of council together, and we'll go out into the community and deliver these certificates and thank people for all their hard work and dedication throughout the pandemic. I have no problem with that at all. I think it's a good idea.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else?
Looks like Jim Miller has his hand raised.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, if I can, being involved with Civic Awards since its creation, yeah, it has been like pulling teeth some years. And I do agree that some awards are better than others. If you're going to do any this year, Citizen of the Year would definitely be be about the only one, because everything else has been affected with COVID. And I think Canada Day may be a good idea to get things off that way. I know from a facility standpoint, everybody that's booked a couple of events, like for the next month or so, have had to cancel because there's such little interest in people wanting to go outside, even now. So, you know, I think you're wise to look into something in July, August.
Yeah. So do you think, Jim, from what we've heard around the table, we got a subcommittee, do you think we could get a Citizen of the Year and also recognize some people or businesses on doing a good job during this?
Oh, definitely. I think a subcommittee, you know, it's kicking around some names and having some ideas of who's done well, you know.
Yeah.
For the community, I think is a great thing to recognize that. But again, when you get into the Junior Athlete of the Year and a couple other things, I don't think we want to go that way.
Okay. So
Lloyd, sorry, Amy has her hand up.
go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm not sure how it works in terms of the subcommittee, but I would like to be a part of it. And then I would also just like to offer up my my sort of expertise in video and social media strategy. Like I could come up with a video that the town could use to recruit possible suggestions that could be placed on social media for this type of award that we're going to be considering. I could also do an interview once we've decided who it is with the person that can go up on social media, you know, like just trying to figure out sort of, since I haven't been a part of this in the past, like, and just coming at it from a sort of newer perspective of how I could help out in that as a committee member. But I think that there is an opportunity to sort of reach out to the community in a new way. And especially since COVID has hit hard and, you know, just sort of figure out also who would be like, because if we're having trouble getting people even on this committee, like maybe we could do a recruitment sort of drive as part of looking for the person, like looking or considering people for the Civic Award to try and up the membership here to help us with other parts of the events and other things that we need help with, since we're very low on in terms of volunteers at this point. And again, I'm still getting used to it, so I'm just putting it out there.
Okay, a couple things there. I know they do have more people to be on our committee. The second thing is we would have staff members on this subcommittee as well. And I believe we have staff members that are versified to do that, but that'd be something you could work with them. You want to be on that committee with them as well, and you could work together on it. As we have 2 or 3 staff members that do that kind of stuff in their job descriptions. So I think at this point, it looks like we need a subcommittee. So Amy, you're looking to be on it. Of course, Jim, you'll be on it, correct?
Sure.
Whatever
you need.
Yeah. Who else wants to be on it? Emily, did you want to be on it?
I'll give a kick at the can, that's for sure, Lloyd.
Okay. And
Hey, Lloyd,
yes.
before, it's Tom here. I got my hand raised and you're just ignoring me.
Yeah,
It's just,
I can't see my-
it's
Oh,
always
there it
like
is. I
that.
see it now.
It's you know, I was actually using my skills this time. So before we put together the committee, can we discuss or at least figure out what the scope of the committee is? What exactly is the committee going to do? Are we going to find a Citizen of the Year, and is the committee going to recommend to council names of businesses and folks who have gone above and beyond during the pandemic to help the community so that the mayor and council can go out and celebrate them with certificates. Is that what we're doing with this committee?
That's how I see it as the chair, yes.
10-4, thank you.
And again, Mr. Chair, it's Brian here. I don't think this needs to come back to council. I think if this
Okay.
committee, this subcommittee creates a list of folks, and it, you know, if it's, as long as it's not 1,000 people, a list of groups, a list of businesses, a list of individuals that have gone above and beyond, then we'll just get certificates together. And over the course of whenever that list comes out, over the course of, you know, the next few weeks after that, we'll gather as many counselors are available, and we'll make appointments with these people to go to them or come to us and deliver these certificates.
But Brian, I think to protect you and the members of council, we need to figure out what a reasonable number is.
Absolutely. And I'd leave that to this group to do that. I just don't think it needs to come back to council. We don't need to go in camera to discuss a list of folks that you folks are perfectly capable of coming up with. That's all.
So what we'll do, Brian, is so we get the subcommittee going, we'll see how we make out, and then we can then go from there and let you know what we're doing, let our committee know as well. So, okay.
And
All right.
Lloyd, Jim's got his hand up there, sorry.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I foresee the subcommittee meeting, thinking of, you know, a couple of, like, Citizen of the Year, maybe one other category, and then bringing some names together for the committee to talk, to discuss.
Okay.
Is that right?
Jim, can I ask you a question? Sorry, Lloyd, if you don't mind me asking.
No, not at all.
Just as new to committees, I haven't had a committee make a subcommittee yet. Can you shed some light for me on how that works? Does that involve me?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, the subcommittee meets, it's by itself.
Okay.
It's not an official committee meeting.
Excellent.
All right. We probably should have one other member on there. Jessica, I can't see if anyone had their hands up or not, so.
I don't see anyone.
All right, I'll sit on that committee.
Okay.
So that'll be a subcommittee of Amy, Jim, Emily, and myself.
Okay, so did you want to do a motion for that? I've kind of been drafting while you've been chatting.
Yes,
Currently, I have that the committee strike a subcommittee for the Citizen of the Year and to name a Citizen of the Year and make a list of residents and or businesses and groups to receive certificates of acknowledgement that would include Amy, Jim, Emily, and Lloyd.
should we put in there that the Citizen of the Year be recognized on Canada Day?
Sure.
Then it's all right there.
Okay, so a Citizen of the Year to be recognized on Canada Day and a list of residents and or businesses and groups to receive certificates of acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement through,
I didn't know.
through the mayor and council, or should we add that?
I can add that. Okay. Anything else to add?
I don't think so. Jim, you good with that?
Yeah, okay.
Brian, you good with that? Mayor, I mean?
Okay,
All right,
So
so we need a motion.
yes, please.
We have a hand up.
See Amy as mover, Phil as seconder.
All in favor?
Good.
All in favor? Carried?
Yep.
Okay. All right. We'll carry on this, and then I want to go back to a couple things before we leave these events. Alfred Memorial Award, or whatever it's called. I think we should do that this year. What do you think, Jim? Looking for,
So, oh, it's essentially an award for, to recognize someone that's done an accomplishment in sports over their lifetime. So, I mean, we can certainly do it. If there's someone that's, you know, somebody in the public will be willing to put their name forth.
so what we can do is still move ahead with it, put it out there. And then if we, when we get names and stuff, we'll have a couple people jump in with you and give you a hand.
Sure. I mean, we can do that as a committee as well.
Or do it as a committee as well. Okay. Okay, we'll carry on with that. Movies in the park. We'll carry on with that. I'd like to go back to concerts in the park. I think because we haven't had concerts in the park for a couple of years now. The last time we had it, we had Bentwood Rockers start it, and then we had what's it called, the Brighton Citizen Band end it. I thought it was a good receiving from the people in town. The parks were filled on both events. I think we should do that again this year. I would like to see maybe us starting the concerts in the park in June. We normally do them in July and August. I would like to see them start in June and let the people know that, hey, we're here. We're not going nowhere, and we're going to step it up a bit for you to come out for the concerts in the park. That would add another 5 more or 4 more, whatever we choose. What does everyone think about that?
Lloyd, Amy has her hand up.
Go ahead.
What would be the budget to add the extra month?
So they usually average around 350 to 500 a night that they come out. So we would probably end up maybe going over some, but if we don't use all the monies from other events, we would have money left over to cover it. And
so what happens if we use the other money for the other events? Is like, so we're looking at almost like a $2,000 difference in terms of, so I'm just wondering where it would come from.
We would do, we go to council if we were over budget, explain why we're over budget. And then they go to the contingency fund, which we give money to for the last couple of years. And they would support us from that.
Okay, so I would feel more comfortable if we were going to consider doing this, that we would have an allocated budget amount that we would ask council before.
We do have an amount that we sent to them.
No, I understand, but when we did the budget last year, we didn't get too much into details with things. You said that this year would, like, during the next part, which is now, we'd get into more details about the budget. So if it's going to be almost a $2,000 difference to do that, I think that we would need to make sure that we request a motion specifically to ask council for the extra $2,000 specific for that event to come from the contingency, and not wait to see whether or not we're going to underspend on another event or just overspend. I would just feel more comfortable if we are going to do this, that the motion is clear, that the budget would need to increase by $2,000 and request that amount from council.
Okay.
Hey, Lloyd?
Yes.
So we didn't do concerts last year, correct?
Correct.
And we didn't do concerts the year before, correct?
Correct.
So we should have a lot of money floating around, correct?
It goes back to the contingency fund.
Right. So I understand where Amy's coming from. And the problem with that, Amy, and you've mentioned a couple of times that you're new, is all of the musicians start booking now. And so if we.
I don't have a, Tom, I don't have a problem with this. I
No,
just.
no, that's okay.
I just simply want it
that's-
to be an emotion that is appropriate,
Yep.
because last year when we were doing the budget, I was told to wait until we were doing the actual events.
Sure.
I understand that there is a contingency plan. That did not stop the chair of this committee in previous times.
If you would let me
to
finish,
talk-
I could probably explain where I was going. So
I know,
if you
but
could,
you're-
if you'd be kind enough to let me finish, I'd appreciate
Okay.
it. So where I'm going with this is that we are in competition with Trent Hills, we're in competition with Crammy, and we're in competition with the city of Quinny West when it comes to musicians. And so we know that the booking season is now. The last time we went through this, it was a very long process, difficult process for us to get all of the bands that we wanted. So I favor, and we've got a mayor and we've got two councillors sitting on here, and I think they're probably listening to this conversation loud and clear and aren't obviously going to show their hand now. But I think that we should go ahead adding the concerts in June. And if we need to go to council and say, we need some money in our budget because we don't have enough to do the Santa Claus parade, I have a feeling they're not going to say no to us. So I would support Lloyd's idea of us going for an extra month of music in the park. And because essentially we need to start booking these people now.
So Amy,
Yes.
okay, yeah, my screen went black. Okay, I talked to the finance person and some counselors about this, and they suggested that if we're doing some extra stuff, providing it's not spending like $10,000 to carry on, and then if at the end of the day our budget is going to be short, then that's when we approach them. They said, wait till your bottom line is going to go red, not black.
Okay, I understand that, Mr. Chair. I understand I'm new to this committee, but I'm not new to municipal budgets. I'm not new to the municipal process. And for me, in terms of being accountable to Brighton taxpayers, I just think that, you speaking to council members on the side, saying that this is okay, us spending the money and then not having enough for the Santa Claus parade, or maybe saying no to it. If there is a contingency, I don't understand why we cannot just put forward a motion to say, allocate $2,000 from the contingency to go directly to including an extra month of concerts, so that the money is trackable. It's been approved. It goes to council in the next meeting minutes and it's approved. And you yourself in last year during some of the meetings were able to go ahead and book things, even though it hadn't been, there was changes to things and you were able as the chair to do it. I'm not saying not to do this. I'm not saying to wait to do this. I'm simply asking that it be documented and properly accounted for in a motion, so that it's clear, so that we're not just saying, okay, we're going to overspend here and then deal with it later if it comes up. If we have a contingency, it's simply, and Jessica, I'll put forward a motion, hoping for a seconder, that we allocate $2,000 from the contingency to be able to book concerts into June. I'm not understanding how this would be a hard process. So that's my motion, and I'm hoping for a seconder.
There's a 3 moments.
Sorry, Lloyd, you've got Emily, Phil, and the mayor with their hands up. I do believe the mayor was first.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I hear what you're saying in terms of what you've been told by some members of council and maybe myself even, and the director of finance. But let's keep in mind that this is an election year. So at some point we will go into lame duck, or may very well go into lame duck. That's likely to happen mid-August, at which point council has no authority to add, decrease, or change budgets or do much at all. So
But the CAO does, right, Brian?
that is correct, Tom, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. But before, I would ask Ms. McQuaid, before she puts that motion on the floor, perhaps, I think your next point of discussion is with regard to the Platinum Jubilee. And you may be looking for some more dollars to help with that, because I know that wasn't part of your plans or concepts or budgets. And you may, I don't know what the committee might come up with for Platinum Jubilee, but you may be looking for some more dollars for that too. So my advice would be, rather than coming 2-3 times or putting 2 or 3 motions on the floor for dollars and cents, that you put one motion on the floor to ask for additional money from council.
Okay,
Okay, so Lloyd, now you have
Chair.
Phil and Emily with their hands up.
go ahead. Phil?
Mr. Chair, did last year's budget or this year's budget include the award ceremonies, community awards?
Yes.
There you go. There's several $1,000s right there.
There's
Many thousands of dollars.
$2,000 there. Yeah. But I understand what Amy's saying.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
on-
So let's
on-
we'll have,
So what,
okay, just to
what
back
we
up
could-
Amy then, ask for further funds, plus we'll have that money from the awards functions that obviously will be minimal, because we'll have 1 or 2 plaques and they're what, a couple $100, Jim. So we'll probably have $1,500, $2,000. And if council sees fit to have us do other events, then I guess they'll have to determine to give us money at that time. But I think quite frankly, the concerts in the park are the best way for community involvement. And let's go all out and put on a good show this year. A lot more people, people care about those concerts much more than they do about the Queen's 70 years, quite frankly. So let's put our money where we're going to get bang for a buck.
okay. Emily?
Thank you, Lloyd. If I can just ask the mayor a question, maybe he could answer this as well as anybody. Thanks for being at this meeting tonight, if for nothing else, to answer questions, Mayor.
I have regret.
Seeing how we're still we still have discussions around budget coming, would it be appropriate for us, as I asked last night regarding the Jubilee thing as well, that we have some more money? So would it be appropriate then for this committee to say, we need to add some money to our budget for this year? Would now be the time to do it so it could be approved before we finalize the budget?
That would require us to reopen the budget, and I didn't see a willingness around the table to do that. But to the points that are being made, if the committee asks for additional funds, those funds would come from the municipality's contingency reserve. And we're not talking $100,000.
No, I know.
We're talking,
$5,000,
$2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, right? So this is a no-brainer spend. It'll happen, but I don't want to leave it. And I understand Tom's point that the CAO can make this decision. Absolutely, I don't want to leave it to a staff person to have to make this decision. It is appropriate to have council make the decision, and so I don't think it would be wrong for this committee to make this request. I just think it should be done in one lump rather than $2,000 for this and $4,000 for that. You'll have an idea in the next couple of meetings what you're going to need well in advance of going into lame duck season.
so it doesn't need to, okay.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Emily.
I was just gonna say-
what the concerts in the park dollars are today. So maybe you want to do that one today, but you don't know what, because you haven't even considered what plans you might have for the Jubilee. You might just do a one-off. You might include it in your Canada Day stuff. That would be totally appropriate if that's what you wanted to do. So you might only be looking at the $2,000 for concerts in the park.
So Mayor, what you just said there, because we don't know what this Jubilee is what we need for it. Do we hold off a meeting or two before we ask, or shall we just ask? You don't want to come to the watering trough twice when we can do it once. So if we wait a meeting or two and then combine them both together.
Well, I think, I mean, you know what your plan is for concerts in the park. You need $2,000 for it. So
Yes.
why not simply ask for that today?
Yeah.
Through a recommendation from this committee. You don't know what you're going to need for the Jubilee, because you haven't even considered what the plans are. You're only now looking at a direction from council to do something, but we haven't directed what that something will be. And like I said, you might roll it into Canada Day, right? And that would be completely appropriate.
Yep. Okay.
Lloyd, Amy has her hand up.
Yes, go ahead, Amy.
So as I had stated, I'm looking for a seconder. I'd move a motion to request that council allocate $2,000 above and beyond our current budget for an additional month of concert in the parks in June.
From the contingency budget.
I'll leave it at council to decide where it's going to come from. They'll be able to find it. I just think that we just need to make sure that we're asking.
Yes. Okay, do we have a seconder?
I see Phil. So Amy moving, Phil seconding.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, so that's 2,000.
Yeah, that'll be in our minutes.
Now, next meeting, for next meeting, if anyone knows any bands that want to play and have been approached, could you send their information off to Jessica? And I know I have a few that I had from before, so their names and phone numbers or emails or something, we'll compile them all together, and then next meeting we'll figure out what bands we're going to use where. Everybody okay with that? Okay. All right, Santa Claus Parade is going to be, yeah, we'll leave that. Movies in the park. We tried to play some of them in July, but with the sun going down the west and coming across the screen, it's about 10 o'clock or after before we even start. So I think that could be a couple movies we could do end of July and in August, or a couple in August, and see how it goes. We'll have to play that by ear. And Canada Day celebration.
Lloyd, sorry. Just with
Go
the
ahead.
movies in the park, sorry, before you move on, Amy had her hand up there.
Yes.
I'm just wondering how to get specifically involved in those events. I have a lot of experience organizing, festivals and for films and stuff. So I'm hoping I could lend a hand there. So in a future date, will we be setting up like a subcommittee for that, or?
Yes, we would. So,
okay.
So basically, staff again would look after advertising and everything. Our committee would pick out what movie we're going to watch. We did partner up with DBIA. They brought popcorn and I think drinks as well that night. And our committee is looking for a subcommittee when the time comes to help set up and tear down.
Okay.
Just we set up on the stage there, and so it takes about 4 of us to actually get the screen up and get it set up and getting the movie going. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'd be looking for a subcommittee at that time.
Okay.
Okay. Now the Canada Day celebration, I have a list of items that took place on Canada Day. Again, next meeting, I can pass that all on to Jessica, and she can put that out there as well. We want to drop something or add something, we can do that. We still have a down payment on the bouncer castles, and I'll check with Linda Woodfield on that, make sure it's still okay. They're still in business. And of course, the fireworks that night as well. So again, we'll be looking for subcommittees. to help out on these events as well. So the next meeting, we'll go over that and get started on it. Okay, any questions on Canada Day? Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, for the subcommittees, is that something that we can recruit other people that aren't currently on the committee to be part of? Because it's less formal and it's sort of so that we have, since we're so short on like hands and volunteers, if we knew people that would be interested in maybe getting involved in the subcommittee, then they might have interest in actually applying for the committee next time. Is that something that we're allowed to do, or?
I would have to check with staff members on that because I don't want to say yes when I'm supposed to be saying no, or vice versa. But I can't see why the day of the event we couldn't have help that day. But usually the day of the event, everything falls into place more or less. But the biggest thing is our committee members phone in certain people that we want there and get them organized, and then they show up. That's usually, it takes our whole committee to do that one. So that we just break off into different groups or whatever and make some phone calls, and then it's usually all set up and going, and well before July 1st. Usually the June meeting, we have it pretty much wrapped up as who's coming and who isn't coming. But if we do, as I said before, there is advertising out there. Let's see next meeting. Hopefully we have some new faces by next meeting, and we'll go from there. But if we do get in trouble and we need help, I think we could ask for it. Okay.
Lloyd,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I can speak to, there's lots of talk about how your committee's kind of short people. So I'm the one that does the postings for the new committee members. We had posted for one because you lost one committee member, but if I remember your terms of reference correctly, there's technically two other, I think it's 7 to 9 you're allowed to have.
Correct.
And this time around with the postings, obviously I can't talk about exactly how many or who or anything like that, but there are quite a few applicants this time around for your posting, and I can't say for sure whether I can do this, but I was thinking with how much you guys are talking about kind of taking on this year, I can talk to Candace tomorrow about maybe whether we have to talk to council about it. Maybe the mayor can answer that. We had advertised for only one position, but maybe we can offer more than one to fill more than one of those positions with the amount of applicants we do have.
How many applicants do you have?
Not
Lloyd,
off the
sorry.
top of my head, but like 6
Wow, good.
at least.
So you have, are we all here? Is the gang all here?
Yeah, all the committee members are here.
You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 citizen members around the table, 2 councillors, and you're allowed 9 plus 2. So even
We're
if we-
allowed 7 to 9. So
Plus 2. Plus 2
So
councillors.
we had specifically advertised because Murray had abdicated his spot. So
I would suggest, Jessica, if council were to appoint 4 out of the 6 applicants, you'd have a robust committee.
yeah. But
without adding extras.
yeah, well, if we did 3 to make it 9, or
Well, you're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. That includes the members of council, but you could do 9 plus 2 according to the terms of reference.
I believe so.
Yes,
9
that's how it
voting
normally
members.
works.
Yeah, a minimum of 7, a maximum of 9 voting members plus 2 members of council. So we could appoint 4 of those 6 candidates, and you'd be at your max.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry, my apologies, Mr. Chair. I butted in there.
Nope,
Apologies.
that's
That's
okay. Yep.
Anyways, I would definitely have to speak to Candace, and it looks like Jim is frantically waving his hand, so I'll let him take over.
No, I just suggest that's a great idea. And council, like when they make their decision, it's usually closed, if they're aware of what our needs are.
Yeah.
That would help make the selection even better in a subcommittee favor.
Yeah, it's the last time we advertised, we didn't get a lot of applicants, and this time we seem to be getting quite a few. So you know, I don't want to overstep my place, but just being aware of how many applications we have, I would definitely reach out to Candace tomorrow when I can and see if we had specifically only advertised for one. So I would double check with her that it's okay to bring maybe more to council than just the one.
Perfect.
Ben had his hand up and then Amy did after.
Go ahead, Ben.
Hi, everyone. I was just gonna say that if you have 6 applicants, I know there's a numbers restriction there in how many you can formally take on the committee, but I would find a way to communicate that these folks are going to be the 2 folks that won't be able to get involved formally on the committee are going to be needed on subcommittees and or are going to be needed day of operations. I would just want to throw that out there.
Okay. And Amy, was it?
Yes, I agree with Ben. That's actually the comment that I was going to say, and maybe speak to the clerk just for clarification how subcommittees worked, because on other municipalities I was at, the subcommittees, we were able to bring more people in, and then we use that as a sort of recruitment process for future members of the actual citizen committees. So it's a really great way to get people involved, to get the volunteers that you need, get them in a less formal way. Sometimes people don't feel comfortable doing the formal applications, but again, if there's 6 people and we have a couple subcommittees, just let them know that if the clerk says it's okay, that we could reach out to them and have at least bring them on into the subcommittee format to help us with hands-on things that we need.
Perfect. Okay. I think
Sorry,
we're
that
done.
got a little off topic.
That's all right. Okay, let's keep moving here. I think we can move on to the next 7.3. Ben, would you like to speak on the Platinum Jubilee?
Yeah, just briefly, there was a notice of motion last night at council. I'm a marketer. I'm not a process person, so someone can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it has to come back to then get into actual motion, Mayor or Councillor Rowley or
The
Councillor
notice
Bateman.
of motion was in January. We actually passed that motion last night.
Last night. Okay, perfect. So I think we can start to put things in motion that the committee, the council recommended the committee to take this event on. I noticed at Wales or whatever Castle Palace was going on yesterday or the day before, the formal event of this 70 years was handled over in the UK. I've never been part of one of these before. I've never seen it happen. So I'm not sure how formal this committee would need to plan an event, but something with, I think music and honoring our Commonwealth in the nicer months is all we would need to do in that fashion. But I'll let the committee sort that out.
Okay, I think I'm gonna need a little more idea on what
Lloyd,
this is kind of new to me, so.
so
Go
I have
ahead.
a question. Lloyd. So this is not a choice. We are doing this.
Yes, come from council.
All right. I don't, yeah, you know, it's the scope of this committee is what's happening with this committee is we seem to be becoming the dumping ground of a lot of things. And there's only so much time in each person's life. And I know we just talked about the fact that we're going to bring members on, but again, we know what we do well. And to be honest with you, God love her, I'm a monarchist. I just don't think we have time to, I personally don't. And if there are 6 people that are willing to go on this committee, I'll be more than happy to put my resignation out there so that I can deal with a lot of the other things that I need to do in my life. But I can just tell you that there are the concerts in the park, that's once a week, that takes up our time. Canada Day is going to eat up our time. So whether we blend it with something on Canada Day, like the mayor had suggested, but I don't favor a standalone issue or a standalone event. Maybe I'm being selfish because I don't think I have time to help out. I don't know whether the other members do, but you know, we are pretty busy with what we do best. So that's just my 10 cents.
Okay,
I-
Lloyd, sorry,
What?
when you're done there, you have Amy and Emily with their hands up.
Yeah, I think the mayor might have hit it right on, is try and combine it with another event and this, how we can go ahead and then do something with it. So go ahead, Emily.
Thank you, Lloyd. I can ask this question to the mayor as well. Is there a specific date that we need to be celebrating this? Do we have like an anniversary date or anything like that?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The Government of Canada suggests a celebration on one of the 7 days. So we've already missed Accession Day. That was last Sunday. That was the day Her Majesty became Queen back in '52. But there's Commonwealth Day on March 14th, her actual birthday on April 21st. Victoria Day is May 23rd, Coronation Day, June 2nd, Canada Day is one of the days they suggest, July 1st, and Remembrance Day, not a great day to celebrate, but certainly a day to commemorate the Queen's accession to the throne and her 70th year on the job. So yeah, I'm supportive of whatever the committee wants to do, and I'm not, I get that you're all volunteers and you've got things going on in the background, Tom. It wasn't an intent to create a heavy workload. I would also, just while I've got the floor here, Mr. Chair, point out that Heritage Canada had a grant out, and they have the date was December, sometime in December. I forwarded off to Ben, and it was, I think I sent it to him the day before it was due. But the application deadline has now been extended to February 22nd, and the grant is up to $5,000. So if you were to come up with some grandiose Canada Day scheme to celebrate the monarch's 70th year, there is a Heritage Canada grant available to the committee.
You sent that to Ben, you said?
I did, and I can send it to you again, Ben, if you'd like. I've got it up here now. I'll send it to you right now.
And that's $5,000. Okay.
So I would like to kind of finish my comment
Yeah.
for a second. Thanks, Mayor, for the dates. I kind of agree with Tom. Can we just kind of add it to one of our other events? And whether it be Canada Day or not, maybe we can have one of the Wednesday nights. Maybe we could have a British music night or something. I don't know. There's ideas that we can toss around as a committee, but maybe we could do it at one of the concerts. I agree that we really can't pick another full day or any kind of other event. Our committee just isn't big enough, even with getting more people on. It takes a lot of work. So I would like, if we're going to do something, that we either enhance Canada Day or maybe enhance one of our concerts in the park to bring some focus to this.
Yeah.
That's all.
I agree with you, Emily. I think if we can focus on Canada Day, because that is a big event. We do have a lot of people here, and perhaps that would bring in some of the people that understand the Queen much more than our youth does. And perhaps we would have a nice crowd there when we're doing their speeches and stuff before the activities take place.
Yeah.
But that's something our committee would have to figure that out. So, okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Amy.
Is there the motion from council? I didn't see it on the agenda. Like, what was the exact request from council that was approved?
They just did it last night. So I don't have the actual motion in front of me.
I do.
If you could read it, Jessica, that'd be great, just so that I can
Sure.
have a clear understanding.
Sorry, Emily, do you have it directly in front of
I
you?
have it right here.
Excellent. Are you
so-
able to read it?
Pay attention. It's a few words. Our mayor kind of rambles on. whereas Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, ascended to the throne on February 6, 1952, and whereas 2022 will mark her 70th year of Her Majesty's reign in Canada, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Brighton, in recognition of Her Majesty's 70 years of service to the people of Canada, does hereby proclaim it to be the Platinum Jubilee of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth from February 6th until the end of 2022 in the municipality of Brighton. And further, that staff and the Community Events and Civic Awards Advisory Committee is directed to prepare celebrations to commemorate the Platinum Jubilee.
Well done.
That's the motion. And it was, I should say, I believe unanimously supported, Mayor.
Okay. Any
So
other?
just yeah, sorry, Mr. Chair, just to continue off of that. So what has been this committee's sort of connection to the library and the library board when doing things? Because I think that this might be something that the library board and specifically the library with their history and the way in which they're involved in the community, there might be something to be a partnership there and maybe give us a little extra support. So I'm just wondering if we've ever done sort of partnerships with the library board or with the library, and probably with the library we have, but if that's something that we can do with this, maybe reach out to them and see if there's an opportunity to sort of work together on this Jubilee event. Because I think that with them and maybe a senior center, there might be a way to do this so that it's more collaborative in terms of how we deal with it, since it doesn't seem that there is an extreme amount of interest from a lot of the committee members on celebrating the 70th Jubilee. I mean, I would suggest if it wasn't COVID that we would do like a pudding contest or, there's certain things, but I mean, it's COVID, so you probably can't do a pudding tasting contest or things like that, things that would sort of relate to the Queen and the Queen's interests. But so if you can answer that for me, Mr. Chair, that'd be great, just in terms of how we work or have worked with the library in the past.
I'm not aware that we have worked with the library at all on any events. I know they are there to help out if we need support, but they have offered like for movies and stuff like that for us in the park, but we haven't actually worked with them yet that I'm aware.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if it would be appropriate, but since I've worked with library boards in the past, and I'm wondering whether or not it'd be something I could do as an opportunity to take, because you have a lot on your plate, to maybe reach out to the library board.
Sorry, Lloyd, Emily has her hand up, and I think she would be a great resource because she is on the library board.
That's right. I am.
Go ahead.
I am on the library board. And once again, I want to compliment our library board and staff because they have always been willing partners. I know they worked, I don't know that they worked with us with Canada Day and the Brighton Digital Archives Advisory Committee as well. So I will take liberties and say I'm sure that we can get their support to help us out with something. We don't meet for another week or two, but I can certainly take that message to the library board to see if they would have any interest in supporting this project, whatever it ends up being.
And Councillor Raleigh, sorry.
If you could do that, Emily, then come back to our next meeting, then we can get a subcommittee going on that. And if they're part of it, then we'll work closer with them and try and figure out what we'll want to do that day.
Okay, I will ask the committee. I will ask at the board at our next meeting, which happens to be we meet at the end of the month.
Perfect. That'll be before our next meeting. You okay with that, Amy?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, is there anything else on the Queen's Platinum Jubilee? Again, we don't know a budget right now, but we'll have to come up with one later on as we're going, as the mayor said.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
Could we just simply ask the mayor to come up with a budget since it was his motion and then just tell us what he approves at the next council meeting? Like they should be providing us with the budget since they've given us the workload. So if council could just approve at the next committee a budget for us that we could work within, that would make things a lot easier for us to help move along their motion and make sure that we celebrate the Queen. So that would be my suggestion. I don't think that we should be coming up with the budget. I think that council should allocate a budget for us, preferably not within our events budget that we currently have from another location, and then just let us know so that we could move forward with this, knowing what the budget is and knowing who our partners might be. That's just my suggestion. And since we have a lot of council members here and the mayor here, I think maybe someone would be able to accomplish it.
Amy, I think I heard from the mayor earlier, find out what we need and pass it on to him before they go into a lame duck. Mayor, I'm going to ask you what do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And again, it wasn't or I don't think it was council's intent to overburden the committee, and I think we were looking to find out what the committee was able to do, what outside of the normal workload. So my preference would be to ask you to come forward at your next meeting with a recommendation for council, and again, in the, $2,000-3,000 range would be, I think, appropriate if you can wrap your minds around that. And maybe if you do have an event or two in mind, Mr. Hagerman could easily put an application forward to Heritage Canada for the $5,000 grant. Sounds to me like they're looking to give money away. So, because they keep extending the deadline.
Okay, I will have to speak to Ben before the 22nd on that as well. So, okay. I think
Lloyd,
that
Emily had her hand up there. Sorry.
go ahead, Emily.
Oh, it's okay. I guess my comment was as well just contingent on whether or not we would apply for that Heritage Canada grant. So
Okay.
that's good. I don't need to say any more things.
Okay. All right. 7.4 update from Jim Miller regarding Canada Day grant. Heard anything?
No, we normally don't until about June. But we normally get the money. I have the application in front of me. We put in for a total grant request of $6,900. And that's essentially to cover the cost of entertainment, fireworks.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
We do it every year.
All right. Okay, under 7.5. Oh, the tornado, 1973 task force.
Oh, the
Who wants-
tornado.
Yeah,
Well,
tornado. Go
You were
ahead,
here,
Emily.
Lloyd, when that happened?
Well,
right?
I was all of 15 years old.
Yes.
Might have been 16.
I was
That's
here. I was there.
1973.
Right,
Were you there, Tom?
73.
I say I was there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you were two, Tom. You were two.
Doesn't matter. I was there. My mom and dad kindly left the four of us with a babysitter that night. And they went to the movies in Belleville.
There you go. So I was maybe just a year or two, maybe older than both of you. I was maybe 16 or 17 or 18. Anyway, it'll be 50 years next year that all life was spared. We lost the town hall of the day, which was kind of ready to go down anyway, I believe. And so this summer, when I was in Memorial Park, I kind of took a look at the bell, which was hung in the old town hall downtown, and what is now a flower bed, what used to be a fountain, right there on the the northeast corner of the park. They're in a little bit, they need a bit of repair work. So I guess when I first kind of came up with this idea that maybe we should do something, I guess my intent is maybe that we can kind of clean up the bell, fix up the flower bed, or bring back the fountain. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. It would certainly be something that our task force needs to talk about, how we can kind of commemorate this 50-year event in Brighton. So once again, council approved forming a task force, and they are looking for the composition of this task force would include the mayor, member of council, other committees, of which one would be community events committee, just a representative from the committee to sit with us, to sit on this committee. This isn't going to happen till 2023, but this would give us some opportunity to kind of come up with some ideas as how we can recognize this event. So basically, the task force, we haven't put a task force together yet. This was just all approved last night. But if some of our committee members would maybe give this some consideration, and maybe at our next meeting, when we go a little farther with this, that there would be someone from this committee, maybe one of our new members who are coming on, who would like to kind of sit on this committee for a short length of time. It's not going to be that big a deal.
So Emily, how often are you planning on meeting? Have you said that?
No.
Emily, you've muted yourself.
Oops, sorry. Thanks, Jessica. We haven't really said anything yet. Like I said, we've just passed this on. So this is just to give notice to this committee at this point. If there's someone who would like to kind of represent our community events committee on this board, we probably won't be meeting for I would say another month or so, right, Mayor? We still have to we would first have to choose those who will be sitting on the task force, or approve, not choose, approve.
Yes.
Those who will be sitting on the task force. So we probably won't be meeting till maybe April or May, and then just a few times to kind of have an idea what we can, what we can do, just to, like I say, recognize the event of 1973.
And when I first heard it, I didn't think too much about it. And then the more I sit here and think about it, there's different individuals that, can you still hear me?
We can still hear you. We just can't see you.
Okay, there we go. Let's see if that, something's gone on here. Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay. There are still quite a few individuals around town that I know that were actually here in Brighton when the event took place. And, I think giving yourself a year to do this, I think this committee could come up with actual people that were here that day could speak on it, or give you information about what took place and what they did for the cleanup and stuff like that. So
right.
it could turn out to be, a little bit of history going on there too. I don't know if you looked at the history people as well.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they have pictures there as well. So that it could get to be quite exciting for individuals that remember it.
Right.
Whether
Yeah,
you're
we're
2
hoping,
years old or 10 years old.
We're we're hoping to have somebody from the digital archives, Lloyd, and you know what kind of a committee they are. I mean, they're bang on for doing anything, and I'm sure we could put something together with them as well. So there's the Heritage Committee, and we'll pick hopefully get some members just from the community at large, and those could be people who remember what went on that day. So it's just maybe just a bit of interesting history. And like I say, we were all very fortunate, those of us who lived in town July 13, 1973, that there was really no injury to anybody here. There might have been a few bumps and scrapes, but we were lucky that no one lost their lives. So that's it for that.
Okay.
Lloyd, Amy had her hand up there.
Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
So just when the time comes, I think that a great sort of suggestion, and I'm happy to volunteer on this, is to actually video the oral history of anyone in town that still has memories of it, working with the digital archive. If they haven't already done their oral history of this, I think that it was a significant event in the town's history. And I have skills in interviews and film and documentary filmmaking and editing. So I think that this would be a great opportunity to sort of capture those, if they haven't done them, or if there's digital archives from when people were younger and then re-interviewing them now, 50 years later, putting together clips of it and then putting that as sort of like a primer so next year for movie night, maybe doing like a small screening of it before we do one of the bigger movies. It's just an important part of Brighton's history, and making sure that we're capturing those memories in an appropriate way, or updating those memories, I think would be good before those memories are lost for good, because oral history is so important to the town and to everyone moving forward. So that's just so whoever gets on that committee, or, just keep me in mind. I'm happy to volunteer to help out with that, to collect those stories.
Good. Anything else on that topic before we leave? Okay, thanks, Emily. That was good. Correspondence, I do not have any. Next meeting date would be March 8th, 4:30. And I guess I need an adjournment.
See Phil,
We have a hand up, do we?
I got Phil as a mover. I see Ryan as a seconder.
Okay. Good. Okay, so that's at 5:55, right? Adjourned at 5:55. Okay, thanks, everyone. It was a good meeting. We went through a lot, and we're getting started for this year, and it's going to be exciting, and we got a lot planned and a lot going on. So we'll see you at the next meeting. Any concerns or questions, don't be afraid to ask me or Jessica about the meeting. Okay, thanks.